Hey guys, all right. Looking back on this last week's win, obviously thought it was just a great win for our team and be able to go into an environment on a road game in the Big Ten and find a way to win a close game was something that was really critical for our team. I thought defensively we did two things that we have not been able to do yet, and that was very important for a young defense. The first thing was we found a way to make adjustments in the second half of a game and kind of flip the script in terms of the production that Maryland was able to have offensively. I do credit them. We came out and kind of totally flipped the script on what they did in the past. Really kind of came out with a different offense, different formations, different plays out of those formations, and things that we had not prepared for all week long and had not seen on film. They did a really nice job of coming out there and doing some of those things, but probably as different as I've ever seen a team from the 4 games that they had previously to what they showed up with on game day. Thought we did some really nice things to adjust to that as the game went on. Certainly by the second half, just credit to our coaching staff and our players to get on the same page about the way we adjusted in that game, and I thought our guys did a really nice job of that. That's something that we have not had to face and have not done to this point. That being said, on top of that, being able to finish a game and kind of put it on our shoulders to finish a game, to create 2 takeaways at the end there was really critical for a young defense's confidence and the way that we were able to go out there and finish a game off. I mean, even 3 weeks ago, we weren't able to do that against Michigan State, and thought that our guys needed that. As much as I would have liked to have not made that a close game at the very end there, I think it will pay dividends down the road because we need to learn how to win tight games. We said our keys to victory. The first thing was to elevate your focus and your physicality. Our defense played at a very extremely hard and physical level, although their focus, I thought when Maryland showed us things that we had not prepared for and we were not ready for, there are some things that I think if our guys would have just locked back into their keys in the first quarter, in the first half of the game, thought we would have done a better job of just executing and not giving them some cheap plays. Really, they kind of got some big ones of things that we just didn't execute well enough, even though they kind of flipped the script in what they had shown in the past. We wanted to create 10-plus game changers. We were 1 shy of that. We got 9. Obviously, the highlights of those were creating some sacks on second down to get them into 3rd and long situations, as well as the 2 takeaways at the end of the game inside of 5 minutes. Just tremendous effort by both Jawan Burgess and Reese Taylor to get those, create those takeaways, something that we have not done enough of defensively. So for us to step up and do it in that critical situation was really important for us. And then lastly, to win the situational downs. Thought we did a good job in the second half on 3rd downs. The 3rd downs in the first half, they continued to stay on, we got them to 2nd and long, and then they would hit us for, 7-8 yards on a play and get to 3rd and 2. And that's what I thought if we had got them to 3rd and 4 plus situations like we did in the second half, I thought we could have been even better there, although I thought our 3rd down defense was pretty solid. Outside of a 3rd and 17 at the end of the game where we just got to execute and do a much better job. We knew that play was coming. We were getting ready for it, and we just did not execute well enough on that 3rd and 17. That was an opportunity to kind of finish off the game, and we didn't do that in that situation, and then that led to their only scoring drive in the second half. You take that 3rd and 17 play away, and then you take the little stutter and go with the tight end that they had, and that was, I think, 75, 76 yards of offense. Outside of that, I think they had 70 total yards in the second half. So can't take those things away, but again, just the level of execution and our guys being able to adjust was really important for us defensively. As you look forward, getting ready for Nebraska, obviously it'd be exciting to go into an environment that their fans and their university has been able to create. My dad had the opportunity back in Southern Miss when he was the defense coordinator at Southern Miss to go there. I think it was 1999, and said it was one of the most fun environments he ever got to coach in. Now, he held them to 168 yards a year after they had won a national championship, so I think that was part of it. But certainly a neat environment to be able to, for our guys to go play in. I think for us, the focus just has to be completely on us, getting better every single day, focusing on your keys. And we were able to show our guys in the first half of the Maryland game, if you'll just focus in on your keys and not let the momentum of the game affect the way that you produce and the way that you execute, I think that to me has to be, is the next step for us to become the defense that we want to be.
At halftime, what did you say to the defense as you adjusted from the first half to then the type of performance in the second half that won the game?
Well, you know what, I tell you, when we went into the locker room, of course, we go in as coaches first to make adjustments, just, okay, what are we getting, what are we seeing, all those things. We started to do those things on the sideline in the first half, and we adjusted to the run game stuff very well. Really, in the second quarter, it was really that long throw that they hit on us in the passing game more than anything else from a run game standpoint. But what I loved about our guys is we had given up 21 points in the first half. We got to the locker room, started talking to them, and they were so locked into, hey, let's get it fixed. Let's get this thing going. We know that we can take control of this football game in the second half. And that, for a young defense, was critically important for us to be able to see as coaches and for them to see as players that, hey, you can, even when things aren't going perfect, right, even when things aren't going well and it doesn't go exactly how we scripted it on Tuesday and Wednesday's practice, you can adjust and make plays in a football game. And so for us, a lot of it was formational just because they did, really completely different from what they had shown in the past 4 games, both formationally and then some of the plays that they did out of it. So we had a lot of adjustments that we had to make in the second quarter and the second half, but just phenomenal job by our players and coaches off of that.
Coach, I know the schedule, it always is what it is, but from a preparation standpoint, how much does it help on 2 levels? One, of having back-to-back road games, but also having back-to-back road games against a dual-threat quarterback?
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Certainly, schematically, some of the run game and the way that Maryland utilized their quarterback versus the way Nebraska uses theirs is a little bit different. There's 1 or 2 things that we will certainly be able to carry over from one week to another. For us, I think being on the road and getting these young guys to focus, when they're in other environments, that Maryland game will just pay huge dividends as we move forward in the season. And then certainly, from a dual quarterback standpoint, I think, what the quarterback last week, Maryland, was able to do, gosh, I'm blanking on his name right now, so number 3, but Pigrom, thought he's so elusive, finds ways to create, extend plays and was challenging to bring down. We really had to gang tackle in terms of doing that. That will carry over certainly into really either quarterback, both Adrian Martinez and Noah Vedral. I think both those guys are dynamic in the run game, and I think Scott Frost and his staff do a really nice job of finding creative ways in the run game to get their quarterbacks activated.
You guys had, I think, 3 of the 6 first downs that they picked up on the first drive.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Yeah, the 3 first downs that they picked up, Maryland, on the first drive were via penalty. How did you address those with your players? And obviously you want to balance playing aggressive. How did you address that, I guess?
Thought certainly one of them was, we just poor technique on our part. We got to do a better job from a technique standpoint. A couple others, let them go play, go right back to work, so. There were some things there that we just got to keep playing.
So. Reese last year was a utility player, played all over, and then this year transitioned full-time to corner. How impressive have you been with his progress, especially the last couple games and at Maryland this past weekend? I'm
sorry, who'd you say there?
Reese.
Reese, yeah, gosh. Reese is, I tell you, Reese is one of those natural football players, and the more experience he gets, it doesn't take him very long to get back into the swing of things. And so for him, you think about he had the wrist deal, and then, a couple weeks later he got banged up in practice again. And so, he's really just now hitting his stride in these last 2 or 3 weeks, and we've seen what a kid like that can do with his athleticism, and more than that, just his football instincts. You know what I mean? It behooved him well as a quarterback at Ben Davis High School, and now it's starting to do that as a corner, right, in the Big Ten. And so he's just finding ways to show up both on special teams and on defense. I think sky's the limit for Reese Taylor.
Coach, you mentioned talking to your guys about no matter what's happening in the game, just do your job, stay in the moment, execute. Is that one of the toughest things with young guys who in high school could probably freelance and go make a play without kind of staying in the game and try to change the momentum of the game on their own?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about these guys have been playing ball since they were 4 years old. You know what I mean? Some of them 4 and 5 years old with bobblehead helmets and all that kind of stuff. And that's all they've done their whole career. They've freelanced and they were the best players on the field. And so they just made plays with their athleticism to teach redshirt freshmen, sophomores, redshirt sophomores to execute over and over and over again for one snap at a time, be it 74 plays in a game. That's the hardest thing to do, right? But for us, what we have to do is just keep the main thing, keep harping that in their minds, and then as we move forward in the season, the experience that they gain, they start figuring that out on their own to where we don't have to remind them every single play, hey, lock back in and focus. It just becomes who they are and what they do, and I think we're seeing that.
Kind of to follow up on.
Sorry. My bad.
To follow up on Reese, Taiwan's had some good games. You talk about Reese getting back in the flow. It feels like Jalen's had some really good moments. Just how encouraged are you by some of those young corners that obviously a guy like Jalen's played a lot early, but guys that you're going to be counting on for the next few years the way they're playing?
Man, I totally agree. I think we touched on this last Monday, just our young corners and the production, athleticism, and confidence that they're starting to play with right now. Obviously you've got Raheem Lane and Andre Brown who are doing some really good things, and they're more experienced and all those things. But for these young guys to come on in the way that they are right now, it's just critical for our defense right now, certainly for the future, but the way that they're coming on in the back half of the season, the confidence that they're starting to play with, the speed that they carry for us out there on the field. We always clock our opponents to see what's top end miles per hour that they've hit every single week. And when you've got guys that are running 21, 22 miles an hour at DB and they don't have anybody that has hit that in games, you feel very confident in the way that you can play man coverage out there. And for the most part, that's what we've been able to do in the passing game. All right, thanks, Kane. All right, thank you, guys.